I have been promising for years to play Diablo 1, so let's do it. My first guess is that the sorcerer is going to be easy mode and the warrior like every melee class before him. Wait, there is no before him. This is Diablo 1. This guy literally set the precedent for melee being miserable in the genre to this day. I know the barb and the bard got added with the expansion, so let's go rogue. Depending on how this goes, I'll get into the channel specialty of suffering later on. For now though, I walk past a dude with barely a scratch on him and get into the descent. Small caveat though, I've been challenge running Diablo 2 professionally for over 3 years, and I could definitely tell during this that the games share very similar DNA. Normally there is a promise of persistent struggle with a pedigree in mental anguish in every video I make for some reason or another. What I'm trying to say is, if you are wanting to see me die a ton, you're in the wrong place. I almost beat the game deathless on my first try, but I'll show that when it happens. The first thing I discover is a shrine that tells me that the essence of life flows from within, which means that I have no fucking clue what this shrine does, which is going to be a recurring theme. I managed to figure out a few of the shrines I encountered, but most of them I still have no idea even while writing this. Second thing that surprised me is how close the exits are to the starts of the areas. On almost every floor I went through, the exit was right next to or very close, usually within seconds of walking off away, making clearing everything more of an option than a necessity. I do want to point out, cause I know people are going to comment this, I full cleared every single floor. The only thing I missed is a few enemies at the end, cause I beat Diablo and didn't know the game would immediately end. This was probably the most thorough playthrough of any game I've ever done in my life. I still missed a bunch of stuff due to not knowing how the quests work, which is a thing I'll get to in a few minutes. The first floor was spent just getting used to the game, by the way, getting used to how the character moves, getting my first level up, learning how fast I'm firing my arrows, stuff like that, which is why I just kind of ranted about other stuff. Figuring I was already at a 100% chance to hit. I just put my stats into vitality, by the way. I also clicked on a murky pool, which I'm sure did a thing, couldn't tell you what. The second floor has me encountering yet another shrine, and this one made me very happy, cause I managed to figure out what it did. It gave me a bunch of potions, which was nice, made me feel welcome. Remember those years ago when I talked about full clearing everything? Well, now looking back at the footage I see that I am an idiot. After fighting Shadowbite, I didn't even realize I walked past a bloody mess. What I'm trying to say while showing the footage of me walking past the room filled with blood, which looking back I think has the butcher inside, is that I think I am just blind. I genuinely don't know what to tell you. I walked by the room on all sides and just didn't ever think to go inside. Well, there is always next time. I definitely didn't spend all game wondering when the butcher was coming. No footage of me checking my quest log for the butcher on floor 15 exists. Never happened. What I did find was the dark passage. The enemies in here poisoned Tristram's water, so I killed them. As my reward I got a ring of truth that has life, resist all and makes enemies deal less damage to me, which seems stronger than the empty gear slot I had so far. All kidding aside, I wore this ring for almost the entire game. Having played for a bit, I realized that Griswold sells some special gear and that it is different every time you check. So what I ended up doing is just picking up everything I think could make me money, hoping to roll some great gear. I ended up selling almost everything I found to the NPCs. White items, blue items, scrolls, mana potions, didn't matter. Hell, I would have sold Weird into slavery if the game would let me. Having tripped down the stairs some more, I found myself on level 3, which started out with a shrine. I would love to have the commenters tell me what it does. The first real boss I ended up encountering was the Skeleton King. He is surrounded by a pile of skeletons, which I worked my way through pretty quickly. Mr. Skeleton King himself, I ended up just face tanking after getting annoyed with how enemies walk a straight line away from your arrows while regenerating life, which is something I do want to mention. The improvement in movement over the years in gaming is wild to see when you go back to an old classic like this. There were a bunch of times where I just spent forever shooting at things only for them to always be a little bit ahead while regenerating a bunch of life. Cause holy fuck, do things regenerate a ton of life in this game. 3 seconds not hurting an enemy basically means they are back to full health. Which isn't something the Skeleton King would know about, cause they are dead, re-dead, very dead, dead again, who knows. Anyway, they dropped the undead crown. Turns out it has life stealing, which I'm going to assume is what would later become life leech. I decided to wear it just to try it out. On level 4 I never figured out what this fire on the floor surrounded by skeletons does. I figured it was like a quest, something or another, but it just never came to anything. Before talking with this very trustworthy looking little demon, I did a quick save. It turns out that to the surprise of everyone, they weren't to be trusted after giving them the item that gives them power. So I coated the floor with a fresh layer of blood thanks to him and his loved ones and moved on with my life knowing I completed another quest. Speaking about quests, I also encountered Garbad the Weak, but I have no clue what they wanted me to do with him. I couldn't kill him though, so that was out. Anyway, I never saw him again. Which puts me at 50-50 quest completion. That I could just walk back and look for them never crossed my mind. I basically played with the mantra of I took the stairs down. I am done with that floor. I'm glad I did though. I love that you can just beat this game in an evening. I'm so used to doing these giant runs for the channel. It's nice to just do a short run. And knowing I missed a bunch of stuff is a great reason to revisit. On level 5, I truly saw just how crazy dark this game gets when I entered a room with a bunch of people just spiked to the floor. I should talk about that. The vibe in this game is crazy good. I was enthralled by what was going on my screen the entire run. This game just exudes pure, unadulterated darkness without holding any bars. And I fucking loved every second of it. One of the most atmospheric games I have played in my entire life. That rant is followed up by me finding 2 more shrines. I figured out that the first one gave me a bunch of gold in my inventory, which is cute. Not very relevant but cute. I had basically infinite gold my entire playthrough, but I appreciate the thought. The hands of man may be guided by faith also sounds like it helps. The shrines not telling you what they do is wild but quite hilarious. I did manage to figure out one that gave me a downside just by its name, but we aren't there yet, so we'll talk about that later. Somewhere along the way I also did a thing that made Griswold give me the Empyrean band. It has stats, fast hit recovery, light radius and absorbs half of trap damage. This ring seems kind of whatever, but trap damage prevention is so weird to see to me, so I felt like I should show it. It's highly irrelevant though, I barely took any damage from traps all playthrough. Griswold seemed to agree cause he sold me a ring that has 7 to all stats seconds later. I didn't know it at the time, but the amount of stats and res you can get on rings and amulets is nuts in this game. Without trying to spoil too much, after spending most of the run trying to get my resists in order, I ended up getting all of them for free at the end. It was wild. Floor 6 ended up rolling a bunch of quite aptly named goat shrines. They upgraded my potions to rejubes, which doesn't matter in the slightest cause. I'm just not spending mana at all except for town portals. I did end up needing them though. The first very real fight of the run ended up just about 3 doors down against a huge group of acid beasts. After walking through suspecting nothing, I suddenly found myself the victim of heavy bombarding by just tons of death flying straight at my face. This is where the maze-like part of this game starts coming in. This genre has evolved in a way that has you just blasting through open areas grinding for the end of all endgames, so you can grind more endgame to grind more endgame. This however is set up as a much more strategic survival game where you need to use the area to solve your problems. In this case the solution is pretty simple. There is a path past the group which allows me to attack them from the back, scattering them and allowing me to pick them off one by one. I didn't exactly come out unscathed though, a rough moment in what had so far been a very chill and casual playthrough. I didn't know it at the time, but I should have enjoyed these sweet moments as the summer child I am. I mean I'm not. But winter child sounds like it means something very different. So for the sake of the story, I'm a sweet summer child here. Anyway, I am still a deathless gaming god after the Acid Beast War of 2026. Also, cause I didn't mention it earlier. Why the fuck did they move away from Town Portal as a spell you can just cast instead of taking up an inventory slot? It is extremely glorious. I know recent games have gone back to this. But man, will it feel bad to carry a Tome of Town Portal having experienced this. Level 6 is where the game started ramping up hard. A bit deeper in the maze I encountered a bunch of goats that introduced me to the main mechanic of the mid and late game part of this adventure. Walking 2 steps before firing a couple of arrows and doing it again while being chased by a ridiculous amount of enemies that will kill me in a few swings. Also known as kiting. I did not expect to do this much kiting in this game. It's probably because I'm playing as the rogue. But I spent most of my playthrough making distance and trying to find a good moment to take my shots. The next shrine I found talked about strength, so I checked my stats but didn't see any changes. I want to emphasize just how into this game I got. Look at me for the first time in channel history, taking the time to actually read and listen to the notes. That is how hooked I got on this. I mean, it took 6 levels, but still, I hadn't read an in-game note in decades before this. There was an optic amulet just laying on the ground, so I decided to pick it up. Strange how nobody claimed it. Anyway, free amulet, I'll take it. I wish I'd found the next shrine earlier, but I still want to talk about it cause I think this is the sickest thing ever, and I don't get why they removed this at all. After slaughtering some goats, I ended up finding a map hack shrine, which I immediately decided is the most awesome epic thing I have ever seen. Please bring these back in these kind of games, I love this so much. Being about halfway through the game, level 8 has a sneak peek at one of the late game monsters that you will encounter with this angry librarian teleporting around for a bit. Finally getting some resistances, I used one of the identification scrolls I found from this room to identify a ring that turned out to have 25 lightning resist and 26 life, a ring I would kill for in most solo self-found runs. A bit earlier I mentioned there was one shrine that just smelled bad. It's this one. This Shrine of Tears. Now I have heard people talk about the good old days where shrines could still be bad and how good we young people have it while playing our fancy new games. So when I saw a shrine called Shrine of Tears, I just sniffed it. My radar just pinged this immediately, and it turned out I was correct. This shrine ended up taking a dexterity and adding it to my magic. Such a cool mechanic. There is some more fuckery with our stats later on in the run, which I'll of course mention when we get there. But I wish they had kept this. It's so innovative. Who cares if it punishes people who are just randomly clicking things brainlessly? Sucks to suck for them. Level 9 turns out to be fast and furious. Millimeters away from the entrance I get something that felt way too familiar. I got blasted by tons of lightning from across the screen. Now while I am a soul in search of answers, I was full on done with the souls in Diablo 2. No worries though, the mechanics are still here, this time from a gigantic group of demons that not only are throwing thunderbolts and lightning in a very frightening way, they are also pimp slapping the fuck out of this queen once they are close. Holy crap, am I glad I just got a bunch of extra lightning resist, cause otherwise I would be a poor boy. And dead. The rest of the level I got protected by a bunch of barrels that allowed me to just lure everything and machine gun it all down. The sense of having a hard fight and then a free win is so satisfying in a way I can't describe. It's just such a natural, much needed sense of not blasting everything all the time that makes this game so good. One moment you are fighting for dear life, the next you are shooting fish in a barrel, and all of it is glorious. I didn't know it at the time, but there are huge giant demon tits a few floors down, which is just as awesome as it sounds. Hold your tits for a second though, first we've got to clear some more levels, but after that we'll be hauling ass as well. The red beasts are protecting it well though. Once again I get blasted from a distance by a huge pile of beams. Truly the Souls experience all over. Or, well, earlier again. I never knew that dog shit was a repeat of something from the first game, which makes sense with me playing this for the first time now. It's wild that they thought getting blasted by lightning from miles away was great enough for a repeat though. All kidding and rambling aside, it totally is. This ability to being able to go from completely safe to certain death in a matter of frames is what pulls games like these above and beyond their competition. Despite getting overpowered as shit towards the end due to some fantastic items I acquired. For most of this game I felt like I could get killed around every corner, and I loved it. I know, I've said I love the thing a lot this video. It's true though, if you haven't played Diablo 1 before, go play it. It's like watching an old movie you've been told is amazing. Everything feels slow compared to what you're used to. And it starts out a bit awkward and feeling archaic at the best of times. But then it all clicks and suddenly it scratches an itch you never knew you had, and it is the best thing ever. While working my way through level 9, the gear upgrades come in fast. The biggest one being a studded leather with 21% resist all, making this random ass magic item better than almost any rare in Diablo 2. It also got my resistances going with fire and magic being at 31 now. Lightning is straight up maxed. Keeping on going down like it's a random Saturday night. Level 10 greets me with the warm greeting of 30-year-old computer controlled characters. Like a bunch of lemmings, all the Obsidian Lords slowly but surely, but mostly slowly, make their way in an awkward line towards me. Each of them managed to give me one big love tap before getting mowed down. While I play my favorite game of fish in a barrel. Could you go and check if you're subscribed? I know you think you are. Just go check. And if you're enjoying the background tunes, those are down there listed in the pinned comment and description as well. Done checking. Cool, let's move things along. In the middle of the metaphorical barrel turned out to be an anvil that I of course am going to casually lift up and carry home. Cause that is of course what you do with anvils. They are very light after all, so that makes total sense to do. As my thank you for carrying an anvil out of hell in my pocket, I get Griswold's Edge, a nice reference to the same sword in Diablo 2, cause that's how references work after all. The problem with this is that it is a sword, meaning it is meant for the warrior, so just like every other item I found along the way, it's getting sold. Level 12 starts off with something that despite doing it in the reverse order looks extremely familiar to me. I recognize a pit lord when I see one, and I deal with them the same way as I have for decades. What I did not expect though is the other enemy in here. While it is extremely on theme to have succubi look like this, it is also a thing I did not expect. I'm not used to seduction being portrayed in gaming this way at all. But it makes total sense flavor wise, of course. I don't know, it feels over the top and on point at the same time. I might be more critical, but I just can't be displeased with boobs. I do think things about the way they die though, not in a bad way. But I don't know, it's a bit much. Giving me big face down ass up, that's the way we like to die vibes. On level 13, I was starting to reach a bit of fatigue about the complete decimation of every single enemy I came across upon my journeys. The game decided to remind me why I was doing it though when I tried to move things along. The Warlord of Blood and his cronies attacked me with all their might. For the people that haven't played this game, this is basically just a group of crazy powerful frenzy barbarians trying to smother you with a pillow. But instead of a pillow they use a sword. And instead of smothering they just try to decapitate you. Which seems less terrible honestly. I mean, at least it's fast. But if we could just not do any of that, I would appreciate it greatly. Fortunately, I was able to kite them around in the cleared hallways. All in all, a good challenging fight. Which is more to be said then about level 14. Since we're here now, let's talk about level 14. Cause holy fucking shit did the game throw down the gauntlet here. I had a feeling things were ramping up on the earlier floors, which makes sense, cause I'm sure Diablo is beyond slightly miffed about how I'm just taking a huge shit on his entire friend list. Still deathless as well, I might add. Anyway, level 14 had an infinite wall of enemies attacking me at all times. This entire floor was filled to the brim with demons wanting to take my death dignity. I'm not giving it up that easily though. Figuring the white blob of light up there is something I will have a bad time with. I decided to start weaving my way around the figure 8 made up by the entrance and the pool of blood next to it. I wish other ARPGs had more things like that by the way. It got to be a bit much with what was effectively a wall-to-wall filled floor. But routing and kiting things was super interesting. I would love a game that truly forces you to play like that more. Diablo 2 does it a bit, but if anyone has more suggestions I would love to hear them. I could also just do more Diablo 1 runs. Or, well, why not both? Not like I'm going anywhere. Figuring I had cleared out enough room to work with, I decided to move towards the looming light. In there I encountered Lagdanan, who despite being a demon turned out to be an ally. He wants an elixir that is to be found somewhere and tells me he will repay me. I didn't know it yet when I started this quest, but this guy was not kidding. It was going to be quite a hefty payment, worth it in spades. Working my way through the rest of the level, I encountered a random teleport shrine, which I will now dub the Oculus Shrine. I'm rewarded for clearing things again as well, cause this got me so confused. And I know this is random, but just look at this level. It's a giant sea of blood draped in a curtain of darkness and evil, just epic all around. Knowing I am getting towards the end of the game, I spent a considerable amount of time just figuring out gear setups in town. That turned out to all be useless though, cause I am about to discover just how hard it actually is to balance a game the first time you create a genre. Not quite yet though, I've got to first find the elixir. It's probably on level 15, which doesn't look ominous at all with the giant pentagram, which just looks sick as shit. I miss imagery like this in games. Level 15 was way easier than level 14 by the way, just a nice moment to catch my breath before the end. I also found the elixir, so I brought that back to Lagdanan. Knowing what rewards I had gotten throughout the game and being very used to getting complete dogshit items from NPCs, I was not ready for the absolute monster of an item Lagdanan had ready for me. As a thank you for bringing him the golden elixir, which I'm really hoping isn't just a bottle of piss, cause it did smell kind of weird. Oh well, different strokes for different folks and all. One thing that will get my pants tight though is the quest reward here. It's a helm called the Veil of Steel and is the most godly helm I could have ever asked for. It has 50% to all my resistances, making every gear choice I have ever made up to this point completely irrelevant cause now it's all just free anyway. There is 60% armor, which shouldn't be too relevant cause if I'm doing my job right I'm not getting hit. It also nets me 15 strength and vitality. They did realize just how good this thing is and gave it minus 30 to mana to compensate, but I haven't used a spell except Town Portal all run, making this the most free downside I have ever encountered in my life. I'm sure everyone who can read realizes just how insane this item is. With my resistances being fixed thanks to a single item, I got to focus the rest of my gear entirely on what is actually the most important metric in the game: damage. Since this is the final gear upgrade of the run, here's what I'm working with. I'm wearing a platinum longbow with 32% chance to hit with 1 to 14 damage. The Veil of Steel I just talked about. The optic amulet. I would have loved to wear something else cause I don't think I need it anymore, but I haven't found anything else. The 21% resist all armor I found way back. a 26 dexterity ring, which is just purely about damage. And for my other ring, I am wearing a 15 to all stats ring. Having reached my final form, I am now just annihilating the random monsters walking around in 2 shots. One thing I do have to say about this game is that the quests are a bit vague. They did get way better at this later on, but it's pretty brutal here. Along my travels, I picked up the Staff of Lazarus. The only reason I even picked it up was for gold. I had no clue that it was a quest item at all. So when I got annoyed with how much inventory space it was taking up, I just tossed it on the ground again. I am pretty sure this is the reason why quest items in the rest of the series are uniques. Then, having cleared all of level 15, I had no clue on what to do. My quest log didn't really end up giving me any more hints. So I ended up googling it and figuring out that I needed to take the Lazarus staff to the wise elder, who, deep shocker to everyone, revealed he is the one known as Deckard Cain. Having Cain rant about the staff activates the pentagram I found earlier and opens a red portal next to it. Hatching a plan in the lair, I just cleared everything to start out, figuring that with the hive mind gone, I would have to fight less of a complete brooding war when I encountered the defiling Lazarus. The way this area ends up working is extremely similar to the Chaos Sanctuary in the second game. You need to press a bunch of buttons, which makes you fight a couple monsters, and after those are dealt with, you fight the boss. It's a very rudimentary version of what the Diablo fight and lead up to it ended up looking like in the second game, and all I can say is that it was so cool to see the first version of this concept. I thought I was just crazy overpowered at this point, and the fight confirmed it. So at this point I figured it was just a formality to wipe up the rest of the game and call it good and get to editing and writing all of this, while staying a deathless gaming chat all the way through on my first time. Oh yeah, about the fight. I just shot all the minions and then shot Lazarus. It was easy. Never was I so wrong and so right at the same time. And my 2 rounds against the Lord of Terror swung both ways. Before getting to that, I had to clear floor 16, which wasn't very hard to do. Just like in the lair, you need to press some buttons and move around some stuff to clear the way. The only thing that caught me off guard is that upon entering the level you hear Diablo say something very demonic sounding. I couldn't for the life of me figure out what he said though. It sounds like one of those things people always claimed were to be very satanic sounding when you play vinyl. So I decided to reverse the talking to see what's up. And well, this is what he said. Eat your vegetables and brush after every meal. Let's play that again just to make sure. Eat your vegetables and brush after every meal. Yes, that is the mighty Diablo telling you to eat your vegetables and brush your teeth, the pinnacle of taking things seriously during game design. After the final button press, Diablo is right there waiting for you. No big intro, just a big fuck you, cause the damage comes flying at you right away. And oh man, the Dark Lord has some serious range. He has also brought all the homies to do the beatdown, so the first thing I need to do is lure out all of those and deal with them while the fireballs fly all over the place. Going back in, there he is, the Dark Lord himself, in all his evil glory. I figured the best way to fight him would be to get into a one-on-one. To get to that situation, I went in and tried to clear the mages spamming fireballs. Little did I know that they were being guarded by yet another armada of Blood Knights. And this is where it happened. I got pushed back throughout the area, and with the Dark Lord joining in on the beatdown, I couldn't stop it anymore. Fully surrounded and with demons dogpiling me on all sides, I tried to prevent the inevitable, but to no avail. And a few seconds later, tragedy struck. I took my first death. Getting ambushed so close to the end was a bummer, but I did go back in for a rematch, and let's just say that fight went quite a bit different. At first I was trying to kite around and quickly learned that all that would do is get me nuked from a mile away. With running not working, I just went and face tanked instead, which is how I learned that this fight is really fucking easy if you just stand still and stun lock Diablo with every single arrow that connects. So while the final fight plays, I'll give some closing thoughts. First, the good stuff. The atmosphere and music in this game is mind-blowingly good, some of the best I've ever encountered. I am happy to have played this game, and like I mentioned earlier, I will get back to it for sure. I really want to try out the other 4 classes as well, and it's short and sweet, so it fits in between other bigger projects nicely. After that's done, I'll probably have a good grip on what a challenge run in this game would look like. And I do need to actually open the door to the butcher next time. It's so sad that it's the literal only door in the game I didn't open. I mean, he'd probably slaughter me in seconds, but that's the whole fun of it. The only downside here is that you can definitely tell this game is old. I had a ton of technical trouble getting this to even run and only got it working with a mod called Devolution X. so I'm not completely sure how much my experience was different from an actual original game playthrough. But seeing as how I didn't play this for decades due to how slow it normally is, that's a price I'm willing to pay. I do want to just have all the quests available on future playthroughs if that is possible. Some parts of the game felt very dry and I'm guessing a bunch of quests would be in those parts. I'm also just going to look up how to do the quests I didn't figure out next time around. Anyway, long story short, if you've never played this, do it. It is an amazing experience and you will not regret it. With that, I am going to leave you all for today. Don't forget to check if you're subscribed. If you want to support the channel, you can find ways to do that in the description and pinned comment. The music used list is also down there. And of course, a big thank you for watching.